Hi, Dr. Tracy Tyson. I'm a board-certified general pediatrician, and I wanted to talk about temper tantrums in kids. Why do they happen, and what is the current best thought on how to handle them? First of all, temper tantrums are extremely normal. It is not a reflection of parenting. It is the child's personality. It is the child developing more of an emotional range. When babies are first born, they have really about 2 or 3 emotions. They're happy, they're angry, they might have a little bit of sadness coming in. If everyone remembers the movie Inside Out, as Riley got older, she got a little bit more complex emotions. And so a little bit after 1, babies start to get even more emotion. They start to get a lot more angry. They start to get disgusted. They start to get frustrated. They start to have a lot more of these complex emotions, yet the language is not there for them to express themselves. And so they revert back to what is easiest, which is crying or using that kind of physicality to express their wants and needs to their caregivers. So if you think about temper tantrums as expressing of a want and need, they're really a lot less frustrating if you also detach yourself that you are the cause of them and take a little bit less ownership of them yourself. They're also a lot less frustrating. I notice the biggest mistake we make as parents, current company included, is that we add too much emotions on to temper tantrum. We make them think as a reflection of us as parents and people. And while our children's behavior certainly can be a reflection of our parenting, the idea of a temper tantrum is not the case. And so I think those things are really helpful for parents to come at it from a very much like, this is just like crying when they needed something to eat when they were a baby. That's the best way they can to communicate. So the best thing for parents to do in those cases is A, recognize it's normal. Try not to beat yourself up about it. Don't try to fix the behavior. The behavior is not the problem. It is the child's level of frustration, and that is their only way to express it. So the best way to handle it is give the kid a word for what they're feeling. You're feeling really angry that I picked your cup up and won't let you have it back after you threw it on the floor 15 times. You're allowed to be angry. Let me know when you're ready to go play outside. Let me know when you're ready to put your shoes on. You can't go outside until you put your shoes on. You can be angry about it. You can throw yourself on the ground, but let me know when you're ready to do what you need to do or you're ready to move on. Under the age of 3, you can do a lot of what we call redirection. And so if a child's just having a hard time and everything is bothering them, their shirt is uncomfortable, they don't want the breakfast that you made, they're just not feeling themselves. We know what these days are like. We have them as adults, and we don't always handle them very well either. And so we need to give our kids a little bit of a grace that at that moment, they're just feeling icky. We call this the itchy sweater phenomenon in my house, where you can handle the itchy sweater, but if one thing goes wrong, everything just explodes. So in that case, you can try to just redirect your kid. Look and see what are they needing? Are they tired? Are they hungry? Do they need a cuddle? Do they need a moment? Are they too overly stimulated? And so if you're not sure what's happening, then you try different ways. And so all of us do better when we go outside. So walk outside for a minute, put their feet in the grass if it's the kind of season that they can do that. Let them feel the wind in their face. Get out of their own environment. I've seen so many kids over the years come into my office screaming and yelling, and the moment they get into the office, they calm down. It's not because the pediatrician's office is a great place to be. It's just because the environment changed and they forgot that they were upset. So that sensory overload is gone. So getting outside can be helpful. Putting on music can be helpful. We all feel better with music. So giving them something else to kind of pay attention to, go into another room, do something silly, act kind of silly yourself. So just kind of trying to give them things to direct their attention someplace else is totally appropriate under the age of 3. Now, if what their temper tantrum is from is you put a boundary in place, like you said, you can't go outside until you put your shoes on, the child refused to put their shoes on and is now having a temper tantrum, you don't really need to do anything in that moment. You can say, I know you're frustrated. I get mad when people don't let me do what I want to either. Let me know when you're ready to put your shoes on. You don't need to have a whole discussion with them about it. There can be a natural consequences. You chose not to put your shoes on. We can't go outside. And that is so much less frustrating as a parent, and it's so much easier for the child to understand. They don't understand when we talk about their behavior, why they're throwing themselves on the ground. They don't understand that whatsoever. So just remember to use very, very simple words. Acknowledge the child's emotion, give them a word for what it is, try to redirect them if they're young enough and they will let you. Give them an opportunity to turn it around just like we need. Sometimes give them a moment I'll talk about timeout in a second, but giving them a moment and then sometimes just sticking with your boundary. The current thought process when we talk about the timeout or sticking with the boundary is something more called time in. Again, I hate to always put labels on things and to change things around, but the old adage of timeout was really kind of a seclusion aspect. So when we looked at that psychologically, it was like, well, I'm not really sure that that's the best way to handle every situation. A child's having a big emotion. They have a behavior that we don't want them to have. So we tell them to go sit in the corner by themselves to figure it out. It doesn't really seem very developmentally appropriate, as well as imagine your teenager. They've had a big day. They're feeling lots of emotions. They don't know what to do. What's the last thing we want them to do is to go to their room and close the door and deal with it by themselves. We actually want them to engage us, ask for help, be able to talk through it. So the current process is more called time in, where you can sit with your child while they feel their big emotions. Don't try to fix them. Don't say anything about them. Just let them feel it. Let them get it out. Imagine raising a child who was fully comfortable with negative emotions. They felt anger and they sat with it, they let it out, and it moved on to a different, more positive emotion. We don't want our kids to stuff down how they feel and stuff down how they feel, and then it comes out in other ways. We also don't want compliant children just for sake of compliance. This is why things like spanking is really not a good way to help discipline your children. Discipline is setting a boundary with a child and then giving them all the things that they need in order to meet that expectation. Some kids gonna do it no problem. Some kids gonna need a lot of step stools to get there. We are the ones with the fully developed frontal lobe. We are the ones that can look at the situation and go, why isn't this working for my child? How can I change what I'm doing to get through to my kid? I have 2 kids. I had to parent them extremely different. I did not always do it the way that I wish that I would have, but if I parented both the same all the time, it would have been absolutely disastrous for all of us. So it's okay to change your approach based on the child. But again, remembering that the goal is not to control the emotion or even the behavior of the child. The goal is to help guide the child that when they feel a negative emotion, that there are consequences to their actions and there are socially appropriate actions that would be more appropriate. So we want to encourage this in young kids and continue to have them have these conversations as we get older, because we want a 6-year-old that can stop for a minute. I'm angry, take a deep breath, redirect themselves, walk outside for a minute. We want our children to develop these things as we get older. And the last thing I'll say is model the appropriate behavior for your children. If you want your children to have good manners, show them good manners. And I don't even mean just correcting the child. I grew up in the South and everyone needed to say ma'am and sir. And so I didn't just correct my children every time they didn't say ma'am or sir, but I said it to other people. I opened doors for people. My husband opens doors for people. We are nice to wait staff. We say thank you if they do something, if anyone. So we showed nice manners, how to treat people. We treated our children with respect, so they naturally treat people with respect. And so be really careful. Your children are watching you for how to behave. If you're having a bad day, take a moment, tell your child what you're doing. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to walk outside for a minute. I'm going to go take a shower because I need to reset this and feel better. If we tell them that it's okay to feel that way, and then what are we doing ourselves to feel better, we're teaching emotional intelligence, and that's going to lead to a much happier household. So I hope this is a helpful topic. I'm happy to talk about this more, but there's so many nuances. I could talk forever, and we can talk more about positive parenting as I make more videos. Have a great day.